But men must know that in this theatre of man's life it is reserved only for God and angels to be lookers on, meaning ultimately we're being controlled, governed, led not by forces that we developed and that we create and that we achieve, possess, succeeded in our lives, and not even by our possessions, riches, but we're being constantly monitored, controlled, and governed by external, superior, and far more powerful and invisible forces, not only in the surroundings, but also that are universal, forces that are removed from our control, beyond our power, and isolated from our ambition, forces that lie in the outer space, in the universe, in the cosmos, that are now directly pulling their strings behind all of us, behind our biology, and obviously the reason who we are, what we become, what we accomplish in our lives already lies in our destiny, that is already programmed and engineered onto our souls in missions, objectives, purposes, and ambitions that the universe always wants us to achieve. So we derive our knowledge, information, purpose, goal, and everything else from the universe, from superior, invisible, external forces that constantly operate from time to time in the human being's life, determining accidents, failures, setbacks, or our growth, progress, learning, breakthroughs, successes, ambitions. All that becomes possible because of the superiority of the invisible external forces in one way or another. And that means our life ultimately is the household, our life is the playground of the superior and invisible universal cosmic forces, influences, and drives in our lives by which we are controlled, monitored, and governed. Even our senses, instincts are controlled by those superior invisible forces. The lust we experience, the temptation we want, that is also the trigger of God in one way or another for the connection between the unconscious, the soul, and the conscious mind and understanding. So that's how this works. So our life ultimately is nothing more than the playground of superior external forces of the tyranny, power, ambition of the gods over us, that we refuse and deny to recognize this reality, but ultimately we're confronted with this bitter reality of tyranny by superior and external forces in our lives and not even by ourselves. So that's how this paradox works. So we are not necessarily in control. We don't control anything at all, but we're being controlled, governed. The Obviously someone else is entirely pulling the strings, and we are only the puppets, and the master puppeteer is God Himself. The ruler is the universe that created all of us, and that is also now controlling, governing our actions, behaviors, thoughts, ideologies, achievements, relationships, also in one way or another. So that's how this paradox